Over 20 years ago, Hyundai finally entered the compact SUV segment with the original Tucson way back in 2004. It was a small SUV designed to go head-to-head with the popular Toyota RAV4 and Honda CR-V. In 2022, the fourth generation of the Tucson was introduced, growing in size and also gaining two new hybrid powertrains. For 2025, Hyundai has decided to refresh the Tucson, giving it styling enhancements and technology enhancements inside in order to keep it fresh in the segment. I'm Rob, and I'm filling in for Sophion today just outside of beautiful Santa Barbara, California with the refreshed 2025 Hyundai Tucson. And the big question I want answered, has Hyundai made enough changes to keep this model relevant and at the top of the class within the segment? Stay tuned to find out. So just outside of Santa Barbara, California, Hyundai's been nice enough to loan us a limited hybrid Tucson. This engine is going to be a little bit changed from previous refreshes, but there's going to be other options as well, which I'll go over real quick. The base engine is going to be a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated engine, puts out 187 horsepower, 178 pound-feet of torque. That engine is going to come with an 8-speed automatic and have the availability of front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. This limited trim is going to give you a 1.6 liter turbocharged engine that's going to be the mid-level of the hybrid trims. It's a 4-cylinder with one electric motor. That electric motor is going to be in the front underneath the engine bay here. Some competitors like the Toyota RAV4 put the electric motor at the rear of the vehicle to give you electronic all-wheel drive and a little bit more efficiency, but this mechanical system puts the power to the back via a traditional drive shaft. The 1.6 liter hybrid gives you a speed automatic, a little bit less as far as the number of ratios. Me and my drive partner, Kirk over there, who's nice enough to be standing in the shade and not burning, we were having this conversation that Hyundai and Toyota are one of the few manufacturers that give you a 6-speed automatic anymore. H-Track all-wheel drive is going to be standard as a mechanical all-wheel drive system, like I said. The power output, it's going to be up 5 horsepower, 231 horsepower and 271 pound-feet of torque. So a decent amount of increase there, which is kind of nice. You still have a 1.49 kilowatt-hour battery pack. This is not going to be designed for any sort of extended EV driving range, although on our drive here today, we did actually notice that we were able to get the vehicle to operate even in some slight uphill situations in only EV mode. Fuel economy is going to be 38 miles per gallon combined. Let's try 38 miles per gallon and 36 miles per gallon. Those are actually published figures now. You have a 13.7 gallon fuel tank, so you're looking at about 400 miles of range. 0 to 60, we are going to get that out on the road and test. Actually, Kirk has the same testing equipment as Sophion does, so we'll see what we can get 0 to 60, but we're probably estimating mid 7-second range. Top speed, 120 miles an hour. Hopefully you're not going to be going that fast in a vehicle like this, but you can if you need to. All Tucsons are going to tow 2,000 pounds, and curb weight of this limited here, the hybrid, is 3906. And I did realize that I forgot to elaborate on that plug-in hybrid. That is also going to be mainly carryover. It's the same 1.6 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. The numbers are a little bit different from the regular hybrid though. You have 266 horsepower and 271 pound-feet of torque. Still a 6-speed automatic. The difference obviously is going to be it's a plug-in hybrid. You have a 13.8 kilowatt-hour battery pack that's going to give you up to 32 miles of electric driving range. Now that we've gotten the powertrain figures out of the way, let's look at the updated styling for this refreshed 2025 Hyundai Tucson. So the lighting signature here is something that they were very proud of when they introduced this car in 2022, and it is very unique. If you see this car behind you on the road at night, it's the stacked LEDs here are something that's very, very unique. Unfortunately, in this bright sunlight, it's kind of hard to see, but you still do have full LED headlights. Something that they've done this time, though, is they've tried to widen the LEDs and make them look a little bit more muscular. They talked about the inspiration design for this car being a big, strong horse, which they showed on the screen. Okay, sure, that's great, but you can see that they did a couple of things to try to make this car look a little bit more muscular. Things are darkened. This new Hyundai logo here, it has an anodized finish on it. It's very dark, and this whole lower part of the bumper here is also new to make it a little bit wider looking, a little bit stronger looking. As I said, full LED headlights, turn signals, high beams. No fog lights on this model, though. You do have some functional vents here to allow for an air curtain over the wheel. It looks pretty good. It looks pretty sharp for a car that's getting 3 years old, 4 years old almost. It looks pretty good, I'd say. This silver color, unfortunately, is not too flattering. Moving around the side here, things have not changed too much. We still have a wheelbase of 108.5 inches. Total length of the car is also unchanged, 182.7. It puts it a little bit bigger than most vehicles in the class. It's actually 6 inches longer than the last generation of the Tucson. It's still 9 inches shorter than the older brother or sister, the Santa Fe. The width of the car is also 73.4, which is slightly wider than a couple things in the class. Ground clearance of the car is 8.3 inches. That also includes the XRT trim. The XRT trim, he tried to say, is kind of an off-roady sort of style package. It doesn't necessarily give you a heck of a lot of other options for operating or capability. The wheels, for this limited trim, it is a 19-inch wheel. The XRT is going to give you an 18-inch wheel, but this one right here, it looks pretty good. It's an all-season tire, 235/55 by 19. Obviously, it's a square setup. There's nothing different on the side, but looking at the rest of the side, you saw those angular styling details on the side, which is kind of nice. You have an integrated turn signal in the mirror here. Camera underneath. This limited model does give you a full 360-degree camera. We have a panoramic roof up top. Pretty nice, except for in a day like today where it is darn hot, but there is a shade. Coming down the back of the rear of the model, we can see the styling has been changed just a little bit as well. Unfortunately, we have not a lot of changes here, but it didn't need to be a lot. These taillights are very unique. You will see down at the bottom here, the turn signal and the reverse light is actually an incandescent, but up top here we have full LED light strip that goes all the way across. Tucson badge, hybrid badge, and H-Track, that's Hyundai's all-wheel drive system. When you go ahead and open up the trunk, there is a power lift kit included. Also up there, that's where the window wiper is hidden up behind the spoiler, which is kind of nice. It's a pretty sizable trunk. When you have the seats folded or up, or they're in an upright position, 38.7 cubic feet of space. It's a good amount of space, honestly. We have both our backpacks back here, and it's not too much, but if you look underneath the floor here, you can see you got a the mobility kit, basically a fix-a-flat kit. So there is no spare tire, so you will not be off-roading this version. I'll have to check with the XRT to see if that has a full spare tire. A couple things over here, you have a 12-volt cigarette lighter outlet, a couple cargo tie-downs, and a really nice feature here. You pull this handle and seats will fold down. Same thing on this side. That's something that a lot of other vehicles in the segment don't necessarily give you. I don't think they fold it all the way down here because we may have some things in the back seat there. I'm not going to press too hard here. But when you put the seats all the way down, you have a total cargo capacity of 74.8 cubic feet. So the practicality of this model is retained. It's never really been an issue, but it's been on the higher side of the segment. And let's go ahead and move inside of the refreshed 2025 Hyundai Tucson. First things first though, as always, here's the key fob for the vehicle. Sophion and everyone else always likes to point out that if you turn it sideways, it looks like the Hyundai emblem. How creative, ha ha ha. But you have your normal functions like lock, unlock, you can press and hold to remote start the vehicle, your panic function, and this car also does have the Hyundai Smart Park feature. So let's go ahead and show it to you. Let's press and hold this to start the car. You have to lock it first, I believe, then try and press and hold it. And it's not going to work. Good. And the car is now on because you can now use this smart part feature. So you can move the car forward and backwards. Let's go ahead and move it. Press and hold this. It'll think about it for a second. And then turn off and do nothing. Good. 2025 Santa fucking Cruz bullshit Tucson. You can use this to move the car in and out of tight parking spaces, so press and hold that, and the car will try to move forward. It's on an incline. It doesn't like it. Let's try reverse. That might be easier because it is on a slight incline right now. There it goes. It's backing up a little bit. Come on, you can do it. Back it up. Back it up. There you go. And as soon as you let go, it will stop, obviously. Pretty cool feature there. Go ahead and press and hold again, turn the car off. That way you can get out of tight parking spaces or if someone is rude and blocks you in. Walking up to the side of the car, you have your typical ridges on the door handle here. You can press that to lock the car. You also have a sensor on the back that you can do that and open the car. It will unlock. There we go. So the silver outside of this car is complemented by a really nice light colored interior. We always like to show you light color interiors. It shows up better on camera. This is a fake leather, I think, although I could be wrong. Again, I'll let Sophion correct me on that. This is limited, so it could be a real leather, but it's a pretty nice material. It is perforated because these seats are heated and cooled. The driver's seat is a 10-way power adjustment. The passenger seat is an 8-way power adjustment. Over here on the door panel, the nice materials continue. You have a soft touch padded area up here, leather right here with looks like real stitching, but it could be fake. If it is, it's done a really good job. You have a cloth material here, leather right here, and it is soft. It actually is a really nice door panel. Down at the bottom, it's hard touch, but it doesn't feel scratchy or anything like that. Over here is where your memory seat function is, which is pretty nice. There's no set, it's just the two seats you can press and hold, but it's a very unique position. I've never seen it on a door like that, but it's capitalizing on the space well and is easy to get to. Let's go ahead and step inside the vehicle here. Has a pretty nice step in height. This is a compact SUV, but I didn't have to duck down or I didn't have to step up, so there is no grab handle right there, but there is an assist all the way up here for you. Close the door. I think it sounds good, but again, I'll let Sophion comment on that. Let's go ahead and start the car up because it is quite warm. Start-stop button is right here.
Select.
So when I started the car up and it automatically loaded CarPlay, it actually stopped my video, so I recorded for 10 more minutes and realized that stopped it. So let's try again, and I'll try to be a little more succinct for you all. Let's start with this new display because we have dual 12.3-inch displays. The pre-refreshed Tucson actually had options of either an 8-inch, very small, or a 10.3-inch display. The 8-inch display actually had wireless CarPlay, but the bigger 10.3-inch display did not. Now you'll be happy to see that the 12.3-inch dual 12.3-inch displays includes wireless Apple CarPlay, and hopefully it doesn't stop my video from recording. You have all your normal functions here with CarPlay. It seems that everything is still recording. Good. It is a little bit on the laggy side, but that might be because my phone is also recording, so keep that in mind. Something interesting here is some of these icons like Target and Chick-fil-A, I haven't used those apps in probably a year or so I don't know why it decided to populate them on here, but I've never seen that in another car, so you can let me know if you know why that is. The other part of the 12.3-inch display over here, it is customizable, but only in a limited sense. Both the speedometer and the RPM gauge with the power flow there on the left and right, they stay relatively the same, but the middle part there, you can scroll through a button here on the steering wheel from your fuel economy information, your battery level. You have your drive mode, your drive power distribution, so which wheel is getting a lot of power. You have your tire pressure monitor, and you have your engine coolant temperature, which is pretty unique for the segment. That's kind of nice. In the drive scene, I mentioned how you have different icons there at the bottom. You can see obviously we're in EV mode because the engine is off right now. We're running strictly on battery power. I did notice that being a taller person, sometimes I lost a few things in here with the steering wheel, given my phone is a lot closer than where it would be. But if you bring it back to where my head would be, you can see that sometimes you lose a couple things in there. So it's interesting because it is a pretty big open space here, but I guess now that you have a big screen, you're going to lose a couple areas in there. Over here on the left, that is a fingerprint reader, which is interesting. That's pretty unique to Hyundai, Kia, Genesis products. I find it kind of useless because I guess you can code it to remember your driver settings maybe, or give access to something. I don't know what it would be because you'd have to be inside the vehicle to use it, so you couldn't use it to unlock the car. You'd have to use either the regular key fob or the digital key 2 system that Hyundai has. Going back over here to the center infotainment screen, you can press the Hyundai button to go to the main native Hyundai app where you have all your normal things. Go back to your CarPlay, your phone settings, weather, valet mode to limit things, vehicle diagnostics. Hyundai Pay is something that's pretty unique. They started that over in Korea, and they're now bringing it over to the States where you can do things like driving this car up to a gas station and it will know to charge your account for the fuel you're getting, or drive-throughs, things like that. Obviously very early in its life cycle, and I'm sure we'll see more from that. Vehicle diagnostics, maintenance notifications, those sort of things. When I accidentally hit vehicle diagnostics, and so it's running that, but we'll see what it tells us when we're done. For the meantime, let's look at the rest of the materials in here. Up here, it is it's hard, but it's not a scratchy hard. If you push on it, it actually is a nice kind of a softer material, I guess. And you'll see right here you have a heads-up display. This is going to be standard on the limited trim. You can't see it, unfortunately, because if I zoom in, let's see, you can see it just a little bit here. I have a filter on my phone that helps with reflections, and unfortunately is turning that on, you're not able to see it, but that's all right. Moving over here, you have some more of that fake stitching, but it actually honestly does look pretty good. This new shelf right here, Hyundai was proud that it's a new storage solution. It's similar to what they have in the Santa Fe. Storage in general is something that Hyundai said they wanted to focus on. Nice cloth material here, and the material up here also is, it could be softer. If you're putting a cell phone or something there, I guess you have these divots to stop it from sliding, but it should be a more rubberized surface, I think. The air vents is actually something that's changed massively. You used to have the air vents up top and it kind of cascaded down through the center infotainment screen as a waterfall. They're now all this one line that goes along the bottom. They feel pretty high quality. They're manually adjustable, obviously. Glove box, pretty big. It is not lined with felt, but it is damped and there's lots of space in there. Materials feel pretty good. Moving down over here to the bottom of the HVAC display, this has changed as well because everything has been moved a little bit differently. You actually have physical controls now, whereas the old one you had a lot more touch screen buttons and capacitive touch sensitive things. You have manual control for, or a physical dial rather, he tried to say, for driver temperature, passenger temperature, a seeking knob, a volume knob for your stereo, and also hard buttons more for the stereo. This is also a home button that no matter where you are in this upper screen, even CarPlay, you can hit it. You can go back to the home screen, which is kind of nice. Rounding out this screen real quick, sorry I forgot about the hybrid page. Let's go ahead and press that. This is where you can go to find all of your information as far as MPG, where your battery status is, or your power flow, that sort of stuff. You can see that we're averaging 30.3 right now, but that's after having this car sit in this field filming for the last hour and a half, so pay no mind to that. Down here, this is kind of cool. Let me reposition the camera here. So there's two USB-Cs. Right now it is orange because it is selected to be data and battery charging. You can press this button though, and it turns to blue, both the inlet for the USB-C and the LED above the battery icon. I'm not sure if this means that it charges faster. I don't know why there'd be a difference between data and just charging, but I guess if you want to have a phone plugged in and don't want the information shared, you can use the battery charging feature or switch it over to data. Another regular USB for charging, and this one right here, press that, it's spring-loaded. Actually holds itself open, which is kind of nice for your cigarette or cigar later. A lot more storage down here. That's actually Kirk's race box. Sorry, we stole that from you, Kirk. You're probably looking for it. I'll have to return that to you. Moving up here, this whole area has changed as well. There used to be a drive mode or drive gear selector here as a push button here. They've moved it over to the steering column. This is similar to what we saw, I think, first in the Ioniq 5. Press it, foot on the brake, forward to go to drive, all the way back to go to reverse, which gives you a 360 camera and a reverse camera. You have trajectory. You also do have parking sensors. You can press this button right here, and you can go to a full scroll around view, which is really high quality. Now I will say the car I'm in is not white. It is not this trim, obviously, because the wheels and the panel roof are not there, but it's pretty detailed. I mean, you feel like you could even zoom in. Maybe you can't zoom in, but you can see pretty well what's around you. It's a pretty nice view. I really appreciate that. Going back over here to the floating center console here, wireless phone charger. Hyundai and Kia and Genesis have been doing this little raised bit in the middle to help you with one, thermal management, but also keep your phone where it's supposed to be. As I'm sure you know, a lot of phones have divots and pop-outs for the cameras and other things go, so it lets it sit flushly and charge better. That also has a nice LED indicator that goes up green when you are charging your phone. I don't know if that changes colors based on when your phone is charged or if the battery is low. I don't believe it would be an actual indication of the battery level, but that's okay. Two cup holders here. You also have an all-wheel drive lock. You have a drive mode selector, which you can toggle between snow, my drive, which is customizable, sport, and eco. Auto hold brake hold, a passenger eject button for when they're talking too much and annoy you. Downhill assist, not that you may be taking this car too far off-road, maybe with the XTR, HTR, HQC, PVC pipe, I don't know, whatever. Sorry, Hyundai. Button for your cameras and parking sensor disable. Two cup holders, a nicely padded center console with, again, stitching that looks pretty decent. And you have a pretty decent center console. There are no more USBs or lights in there, unfortunately. Moving up top here, you have your controls for the panoramic sunroof. So you have a shade you can close. Actually, it goes pretty quickly to block out all the light, which is pretty nice on a hot California day. If you press that back just one little bit, it will reopen the shade. If you press it all the way, you can actually open this sunroof, which is pretty nice. Let's see how far back it goes. Some cars will stop, and if you press it again, nope, not going to go any further than that, but it's a decently sized opening. Let's go ahead and close that. There is also ambient lighting in here. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to show it to you easily today because it is sunny outside. I'll see if there's a B-roll clip from Hyundai that can show you that. Let's see, the seats, they are very comfortable. Me and Kirk drove this car for about 2 hours and we had no complaints whatsoever. They're pretty plush. The leather, it feels real, even though this is not a real leather again, I believe, but once again, Sofyan will have to comment on that. This little plastic bit right here, I know bothered Sofyan at the first media drive-in for this car in 2022. He feels like it kind of jutted into his upper back. I don't feel it, but I'm not as tall as him, and this one feels like it's pretty fleshly mounted and solid in there, so I don't see it being an issue. Kirk also mentioned that this headrest is really soft, which is nice. Steering wheel, new steering wheel this year. It has the 4 dots, which is Morse code for H, 4 quick blips, and Morse code is an H, something new that Hyundai has been doing. You have your other controls for driver assist and your phone and audio controls over here as well. Windows, forgot to talk about that. We have auto down for the front, auto up for the back. I said back, I meant front, you know what I was talking about. The back, however, is not auto for up or down. That's interesting. So yeah, just for the front. Other than that, it is a really nice place to spend time. It's a premium cabin. The cooled seats work really well. It feels premium for the segment that it's in, and I think that Hyundai has done a great job adding those 2 new 12-inch displays and rearranging all of the drive gear selector and center console here to make best use of all of the space. All right, so let's go ahead and move into the rear seat of the refreshed Tucson. First thing I want to show you is these rear doors rather open up really widely. So if you have things like car seats or groceries, luggage you want to put in there, it's going to be easier to do that. The seats themselves, they look pretty nice. They look like they're the same materials as the front seats. However, they are only heated. You can see the 3-level heating button is right there, so it's nice to have that. There is no sun blocker, unfortunately, but the materials here are similar at the bottom, but towards the top they do get a little scratchier and cheaper, but that's okay. Cup holder down here at the bottom. Stepping inside the vehicle, we have pretty nice step-in height, no issues there. 41.3 inches of legroom, I believe, was the spec. It's actually plenty even for me. Usually Sofyan can cross his legs, and I can do that as well. I could be pretty comfortable back here. Down here you have 2 USB outlets, the C variety and your air vents. Center armrest here with 2 cup holders. As far as the headroom goes, I've got about 2 inches or so. It's enough. I don't really hit my head anywhere. You can, however, using the little lever down here, recline the seats. So you can go this far back, or you can bring it actually pretty far forward. I don't know why you'd want to sit this far upright, but I guess if you have stuff in the back and you're in a pinch. So rear seats are usable. They feel good. They feel comfortable. Not a heck of a lot of features, but the heated seats are a nice touch. Cool. I don't even know what your channel's called.
Kirk Kreifels.
But there's not, that's
it.
That's your name though.
That's my channel's name.
Okay.
Something you are.
I'm Rob from Sofyan Bay.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so I am in the car here, this refreshed 2025 Hyundai Tucson with Kirk Kreifels from Kirk Kreifels.
My own YouTube channel, yes.
Very good, yeah, that makes sense. So we are driving the 2025 refreshed Hyundai Tucson. We both sat through an hour-and-a-half presentation this morning where they overloaded us with lots of animations, videos, and facts. So as always, you know, he's the expert as far as information goes in this car. So if I get anything wrong, you're welcome to slap me, but not while I'm driving. So let's go ahead and do that. Use this new drive mode selector here, which is pretty nice. I like it. And get the hell out of here before someone shoots us. I don't know if we're on private property right now, so if we are, I'm so sorry. So this 2025 Tucson compact SUV segment competes with things like the CR-V, the RAV4, the Bronco Sport. Oh, what else am I missing, Kirk?
I mean, did you say the Kia, the Sportage?
That's true. The family mate, the stable mate, the Kia.
Something like the Tiguan, for example.
That's true. So there's many options in this segment. So it makes sense that Hyundai wanted to go ahead and refresh this car to make sure it stays competitive. We are in the hybrid, the 1.6 liter, turbocharged with the 1.4 kilowatt hybrid battery. Lots of new technology features in this car, and the powertrain itself didn't need too many enhancements, to be honest with you. It's already a great powertrain. We are looking at the 36 mile per gallon rated range, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, which is honestly pretty good for something this size. If you are a family with 1 or 2 kids that are just starting and you want to make sure you have something that's fuel efficient as well as relatively premium, this is going to be a great option for you. We drove this car about 20 miles to go to our filming spot, and you were getting about 30 miles per gallon.
About 30. Very mountainous, though.
Yeah, we were going uphill, right?
Yeah,
Uphill for
the
the most
whole
part.
time.
So
yeah.
we actually, it looks like the trip computer reset itself.
It did.
Oh,
yeah.
well, that's unfortunate. Well, we can
That's okay.
average the two when we get back
Sure.
to 20 mile mark
That's right.
pretty much. But even right now, we're in EV mode. We're going uphill right now. I'm actually pretty surprised with the powertrain. You think that something that has a 1.6 liter turbocharged engine is not going to have too much oomph as far as the hybrid setup goes, as far as the battery setups, but it's just as powerful, and it provides a lot of good driving dynamics. It's very quiet in here. Hyundai said in their presentation that quietness, noise, vibration, harshness was something that they were working on. You had actually mentioned, I heard you say earlier, double pane window glass. Is that new for
It is.
refresh?
Yeah, it's new for 2025.
Okay, all right. Well, they're definitely working on the premiumness of this cabin. When we talked about the new screens here with the interior shot, the two 12.3-inch screens sitting right in front of you, very easy to read. One thing I will notice, though, maybe it's the California sun, they seem like they're a little low for me. I'm seeing a lot of the reflection from the dash also coming in, not necessarily the reflection, but just the sun glare. I'm having to notice that I'm looking a little bit lower than I would be comfortable. How about you? When you were driving the car, did you notice it was easy to read?
It didn't give me any issues.
No?
What I noticed with how big that screen is that the steering wheel, when you look through the top arc of the steering wheel, some of the screen can be cut off at times, but
You're right, and
Yeah.
we're both taller guys. I'm
Yeah.
6'1", you're 6'3", 1.
No, yeah.
We're the same height, apparently, but we
Yeah.
could always make some adjustments in here. I will say the top bits of the screen there really isn't anything up there that's legible or that you need to be reading. So
Right.
nothing wrong with that. So a couple of different drive modes. Right now, I think we're in Eco. That's what you left it in, right?
Yep.
So we've got Snow mode, My Drive, which is customizable. Let's switch it to Sport. Rob's always a fan of sport driving. You were driving this earlier and it was still in EV mode, which is kind of neat though. Put your foot down here. Takes a second for that 6-speed transmission to find the gear that it likes, but as you mentioned earlier, Kirk, the hybrid battery does a great job, the hybrid motor rather does a great job of filling in while the transmission is sorting out what it needs to do. We'll do, you know what, you already did a 0 to 60 run, so we can just tell you what we got there. It was what, 7.4?
it's about 7.3-ish.
Yeah, but it was slightly downhill?
Yes, it was like 1% grade downhill. Obviously, you can see where we're driving right now. We're in the mountains, so the fact that we found somewhere of a flat grade is pretty miraculous. But I would say, you know, that was even in eco mode, but it's not going to get any faster in sport mode. I almost guarantee it. But yeah, I would
think
say
it's going to change the throttle tip in off the line sport mode?
it's possible, but
Yeah.
it wouldn't let me torque brake.
Yeah, that's
So-
okay. I mean, Sofyan right now is in Europe at an event. That's why I'm here solo, and he has, I assume at least he has our acceleration timer, although I don't think he's actually driving the car that's there, so I should have gotten it from him, but that's my fault, my bad. Sofyan and I live in different states, so it's always hard to coordinate. Your stuff's packed away. We'll go with the low 7-second, mid 7-second mark, maybe,
Yeah.
assuming you can put it in sport mode.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll tailor something a little bit.
I think 7.5 is fine, but people aren't buying this necessarily for the performance. Yes, it is way better than the 4-cylinder naturally aspirated non-hybrid,
You're right.
but people are getting this all-wheel drive standard and that fuel efficiency.
The fuel efficiency, I know, is your go-to. You were really focused on that in your in your drive, rather.
I have a Prius, so like I love hybrids.
Well, something else that's really good with Hyundai and Kia products, hopefully you can see it from this camera, is the blind view cameras, whenever we turn a turn signal on for right, we're going right now, it'll go on the right-hand side. If we were going left, let's not confuse anyone behind us, it'll show up in the left-hand side. Let's go ahead and put our foot down here once we have a clearance in traffic, and we'll see what the performance is like when we have a little bit of a higher speed road here, and we can talk a little bit more about the new regenerative braking as well that's on this car. So let's put our foot down. Okay, the hybrid put us off the line really nicely.
That was,
and yeah, it's actually, you know, it feels good. It feels acceptable for a family. There's no reason why you're going to need to be going that much faster. I mentioned in the powertrain scene that 120 mile an hour top speed. I don't know why you would be out of your mind to go that fast in this car, but you can notice right now in sport mode, it's actually holding a pretty high engine RPM to give us engine braking. But if we switch back here into eco mode, let's see what happens here.
Oh yeah.
So the engine obviously drops down its revs. And the paddles here on the wheel we can use to change the regenerative braking, right? So you had said, and they said in the presentation, there's 3 different levels. So 1 does nothing good. Yeah, there we go. It's the left-hand one, my fault. So level 1, level 2, level 3. Yeah, level 3, honestly, it really slows you down.
That's strong.
That's kind of nice.
Yeah.
And then they said the right-hand paddle here, if you pull it and hold it, you'll go into an auto mode. So this is interesting. So they said in the presentation that the auto mode of the regenerative braking is going to use things like the radar for the adaptive cruise, cameras around the vehicle to see your surroundings, to see if you're on a highway, to see vehicles in front of you. And if let's get up to your namesake there, the Prius that's up there a little bit.
Let's go.
Let off the gas here. Let's see what it does. So it's not slowing us down super aggressively, but it slowed us down to a reasonable following distance to that Prius. Now, obviously, it won't reapply the throttle unless we're in, adaptive cruise control or anything like that. But so that basically tells me that if it sees the car is really far up there, it's not going to slam the regenerative braking, on, not the brakes rather, but the motor, and it will keep a nice distance, which is kind of nice. So fuel economy so far, 20 miles per gallon, given I have not been driving super efficiently. We are going back uphill here, but once we get to that 20 mile mark, we can take a look and see. Let's see, visibility here looks really nice. I mentioned earlier that I felt like the screens were a little bit lower, but that's because the dash itself is actually pretty low. Now, given I have this seat probably in a slightly elevated driving position, I didn't adjust it quite as much as I'd want to. But the visibility is great. You can see over the hood pretty nicely. The A-pillar is actually pretty thin. Visibility out of the back is great. This is not a super boxy SUV, but it kind of feels like you are when you're sitting inside. Digital camera rear view mirror, right, Kirk?
It is not a digital rear view mirror, but no, but it is auto dimming.
It is auto dimming. I thought I read in the presentation.
That was a Santa Fe.
Santa Fe. As I said, many things that we were presented this morning, so my bad. So it's not a digital camera rear view mirror, but you do have a 360 view camera on the outside. As I said, the noise levels in here are pretty nice. I can see a family being very comfortable in here. The seats are really comfy too. We mentioned this when you were driving. For 2 tall guys, you have lots of thigh support. The seats come out nicely. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm happy in here.
Yeah?
Even good, it's not too tight around the ribs, but there's a good amount of support there at the same time.
Yeah, Sophian would use the politically correct term as a larger frame Americans would be comfortable in this. That's fine.
I would say we're pretty medium frame Americans.
Yeah, we're pretty medium, I'd say. Let's pass this old CRV. My camera turned on, floor it. See if we can get past before. Yeah, see, you can feel the EV battery doing its job, the EV motor rather doing its job, and then like you said in your video, Kirk, the turbo spools up nicely. There's not a lot of, you can't really tell what's going on with the engine too much, which is
but
nice.
you can feel it. You can't hear it.
You can feel the power, you can feel the delivery, but you don't feel jerkiness or clunkiness.
It's smooth.
It's very smooth. And you have an EV indicator there in the IP to tell you if you can't tell what's going on. But honestly, for an eco driving mode, I don't see why you wouldn't just leave it in here all the time, because when we switched it to sport earlier, I wasn't a huge fan of how it really increased the revs a lot. I mean, right now we're not going downhill, so it's not doing it as much, but honestly, I think eco driving mode, leave it there and you'll get pretty good fuel economy the whole time. We're up to 34 now. I'm sorry, 24.
Well, yeah, we're still going downhill, and we've been pushing it here and there.
As far as pushing it, these roads aren't super twisty, but they do go back and forth a little bit. Driving at 3/10 right now, like we are, you're not going to notice that there's any sort of lack of sportiness in this vehicle. There was a roundabout we went through earlier, and it wallowed back and forth a little bit, but there wasn't any tire screeching or anything like that. The steering is actually a little bit on the heavier side, I think. You had mentioned you thought it was lighter earlier.
I thought it was very light. Now, the steering does change depending on how fast you're going, right? So around the parking lots, I thought it was very light. But
now that we're slowing down for a construction zone, oh yeah, you're right. It's much lighter at lower speeds here. But I did like the heft that it had, you know, on these, you know, if you're going 45, 50 miles an hour back and forth on a twisty canyon road, it has plenty of feel.
Yeah.
I haven't said obviously clearly enough times. He says obviously about 50,000 times.
That's his thing?
Yes, obviously. Well, now that we're past the construction zone, I'll wrap up this driving scene. I have a tendency to ramble, I'm sorry. I did want to ask Kirk, though. Kirk, you have not one, not two, not three, but 4 children, don't you?
4 girls and a boy, so
you
5
have 5
now.
children.
Yeah, I know.
So
I don't expect you to keep up.
You would not be able to really have this as your daily car.
No, but I have lived through times in my life where I didn't have 5 kids, so I know what this vehicle would be like for 2 to 3 kids.
Okay.
3 kids would be pushing it. Obviously, there's only 3 seats in the back. However, since there's so much space for legroom back there, that means rear-facing child seats are going to fit very well, even with a tall front passenger or front driver.
Storage space in here for all your kids' stuff is great too, right?
Yeah, storage space in the back. Behind the second row seats is fantastic. So you can fit strollers in there, you can fit all your groceries. 2 kids max, I would say this would be perfect for. 3 kids, then you get a minivan or a big SUV or go for the Santa Fe. That is standard 3 rows of seats. You know?
Minivan, so. Bring back minivans.
Yes.
Cool. Well, one thing I remembered that we talked about during when you were driving is I had mentioned that polarized lenses does not impact your ability to see any of these panels out here, which is great. However, as typical, you'd expect the heads-up display that is standard on the Limited, it does impact it. So unfortunately, no one's come up with a magical HUD that you can see with polarized lenses.
Oh, that's a bummer.
At the end of the day, though, car drives great. It's very quiet. The power delivery is wonderful. Fuel economy, this is a really early car, as Sophian say, an early pre-production model.
And we're through the mountains, and we're pushing it.
Correct.
And we, you know, there's so many variables out of our control.
But we're up to 27 miles per gallon now.
Yeah, and it keeps getting better.
Yep.
So I would say, 30 miles a gallon is worst case scenario.
Worst case, yep. I think we can easily get into the low 30s. So, but yeah, I think Hyundai's done a great job refreshing this, giving it the new screen on the inside. It feels premium, feels quiet, no squeaks and rattles anywhere. No. And I'd be pretty happy if I had a small family or, you know, driving it daily.
Yeah, it's a great car.
Okay, y'all, if you made it to the end of the video, once again, thank you so much for putting up with me today instead of Sophian as I went over the changes on this new 2025 Hyundai Tucson. Driving the car was a real comfortable experience. It was quiet, it was refined, there weren't any squeaks and rattles. It could definitely be a long road trip car. I personally don't have any families, just a boyfriend and 2 cats, so you might want to rely on Kirk's advice if you're having to put more than 2 kids in the back seat. Go to a bigger model or a minivan. As we said, those ones are always cool. Inside, the enhancements they've made to the technology definitely brings us up to a new level. The dual 12.3-inch displays with wireless Apple CarPlay really brings this car to the next level as far as the convenience factor and the technology factor. I would really need some more time to really learn the system to go in depth with you, but I'll let Sophian do that when he gets this car back for a week at home. I know his big complaint for Hyundai and Kia products has been the lack of wireless Apple CarPlay, so I'm sure the fact that this car now has it will make him happy, as well as many of you. This particular car here, the Limited, is going to be the top end of the segment. Pricing is going to start though at $28,000 for the base model. This one goes up to $38,195, which is not a bad deal. It doesn't even crest the $40,000 mark that you're going to see with a lot of CR-Vs and RAV4s. This particular model with the hybrid powertrain is going to be built in Ulsan, Korea, while the ICE models, the gas-only models, are actually going to be built in Alabama. On sale this fall, Q4 is what Hyundai told us. With the addition of the XRT model, that really does help round out the Tucson family to be pretty versatile. You can do whatever you need to it for the most part with yourself and your small family. So to answer my question at the beginning of this video, has Hyundai done enough to keep this at the top of the segment with the styling and technology enhancements? I think so. It's a great entry. I think it's just as good as many of the other competitors in the segment, and if it's something on your list, you should definitely push that towards the top, especially with this new refresh. I hope you guys enjoyed my full overview on this refreshed 2025 Hyundai Tucson. If you're looking to see the latest cars or vehicles that we're testing, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next video.